Hello everyone, welcome to Books Biography. Today we will read most famous book Wings of Fire, an autobiography by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam was born on the 15th of October 1931 in a middle-class Tamil family in Rameshwaram. The famous Shiva temple in Rameshwaram was about 10-minute walk from their house. He lived in a house which was built in the middle of the 19th century. It was a fairly large packer house made of limestone and brick on the Mosque Street in Rameshwaram. His father, Jainul-Abdin, had neither much formal education nor much wealth. Despite these disadvantages, he possessed great innate wisdom and a true generosity of spirit. He had an ideal helpmate in his mother, Ashima. I do not recall the exact number of people she fed every day, but I am quite certain that far more outsiders ate with us than all the members of our own family put together. Once Kalam asked his father a question about the relevance of prayer. Then he told him there was nothing mysterious about prayer. Rather, prayer made possible a communion of the spirit between people. When you pray, he said, you transcend your body and become a part of the cosmos or universe, which knows no division of wealth, age, caste, or creed. His father played a great role in his life. He was about 6 years old when his father embarked on the project of building a wooden sailboat to take pilgrims from Rameshwaram to Dhanuskodi and back. He worked at building the boat on the seashore with the help of a relative, Ahmed Jalaluddin, who later married his sister, Zahira. His father was doing good business with the boat when, one day, a cyclone bringing winds of over 100 miles per hour carried away his boat. Until then, I had only seen the beauty of the sea. Now its uncontrollable energy came as a revelation to me. By the time the boat met its untimely end, Ahmed Jalaluddin had become a close friend of him, despite the difference in their ages. They both go for long walks together every evening. Jalaluddin would talk about God as if he had a working partnership with him. He would present all his doubts to God as if he was standing nearby to dispose of them. Jalaluddin's schooling had been limited, principally because of his family's threatened circumstances. This may have been the reason why he always encouraged him in studies and enjoyed his success vicariously. A large library of St. Manikam, a former revolutionary or militant nationalist, was present in his town. He encouraged him to read all he could and he often visited his home to borrow books. Another person who greatly influenced his boyhood was his first cousin, Samsuddin. He was the sole distributor for newspapers in Rameshwaram. The newspapers would arrive at Rameshwaram station by the morning train from Pamban. Samsuddin's newspaper agency was a one-man organization catering to the reading demands of the 1,000-strong literate population of Rameshwaram town. The Second World War broke out in 1939, when he was 8 years old. The first casualty came in the form of the suspension of the train halt at Rameshwaram station. The newspapers now had to be bundled and thrown out from the moving train on the Rameshwaram road between Rameshwaram and Dhanuskodi. That forced Samsuddin to look for a helping hand to catch the bundles and, as if naturally, he filled the slot. Samsuddin helped him earn his first wages. He had 3 close friends in his childhood, Ramanga Sastry, Aravindan, and Sivaprakasan. All these boys were from orthodox Hindu Brahmin families. As children, none of them ever felt any difference amongst themselves because of their religious differences and upbringing. One day when he was in the 5th standard at the Rameshwaram Elementary School, a new teacher came to his class. Kalam used to wear a cap which marked him as a Muslim, and he always sat in the front row next to Ramanga Sastry, who wore a sacred thread. The new teacher could not stomach a Hindu priest's son sitting with a Muslim boy. So, teacher asked Kalam to go and sit on the back bench. He felt very sad, and so did Sastry. Sastry looked utterly downcast. The image of him weeping when Kalam shifted to the last row left a lasting impression on him. After school, they went home and told their respective parents about the incident. Lakshmana Sastry summoned the teacher and in their presence, told the teacher that he should not spread the poison of social inequality in the minds of innocent children. He bluntly asked the teacher to either apologize or quit the school and the island. Then the teacher regret about his behavior and apologize. Then the Second World War was over and India's freedom was imminent. Indians will build their own India, declared Gandhiji. The whole country was filled with an unprecedented optimism. Then he asked his father about permission to leave Rameshwaram and study at the district headquarters in Ramanathapuram. Then he gives him permission and encouraged him through his words. He took him to the mosque and recited the prayer Al-Fatiha from the Holy Quran. As he put me on the train at Rameshwaram station, he said, "This island may be housing your body but not your soul. Your soul dwells in the house of tomorrow which none of us at Rameshwaram can visit, not even in our dreams. May God bless you, my child. Samsuddin and Ahmed Jalaluddin travelled with him to Ramanathapuram to enroll in Schwartz High School, and to arrange for his boarding there. Somehow, he did not take to the new setting. The town of Ramanathapuram was a thriving, factious town of some 50,000 people, but the coherence and harmony of Rameshwaram was absent. He missed his home and grabbed every opportunity to visit Rameshwaram. Despite his homesickness, he was determined to come to terms with the new environment because he knew his father had invested great hopes in his success. His father visualized him as a collector in the making, and he thought it is his duty to realize his father's dream. Jalaluddin used to speak to him about the power of positive thinking, and he often recalled his words when he felt homesick or dejected.